Third reading, SB 15.
Clerk will read the bill.
SB number 15 by Bettencourt, relating to the size and density requirements for residential lots in certain municipalities, authorizing a fee.
Chair recognizes Mr. Gates.
Thank you, members. This bill applies to land that is 5 acres or larger, has not yet been platted, and is located in areas zoned
Mr.
for
Speaker,
Ms. Gervin Hawkins, for what purpose?
would a gentleman yield for questions?
Gentleman yield for questions.
Go ahead.
Gentleman yields.
Yes.
So, Mr. Gates, to put you at ease, I am going to vote for this bill today.
Thank you.
And so I'm not learning today. I want to get it on the record of what's going to happen with these developments, because I am duly and truly concerned of such small lot sizes. So I want to be clear so that people can hear what will happen with these types of subdivisions, because my greatest concern is that we will create ghettos, and that's my concern. So let's talk about, or did you address in your bill, the quality of the materials that will be put into these type of developments? Did you address that at all in your bill?
Did you say the quality of the materials?
The quality of materials. So you can have a toothpick house or you can have a well-framed house.
Well,
do you address that in your bill? That's either yes or no.
I don't quite understand the question. You're saying that a house, when someone has to build a house, they have to meet whatever the quality standards that any city fits up. This bill does not prevent a city from requiring them to meet the same quality that they currently do.
So do you address the quality at all in your bill?
No, the quality is handled by whatever city's building terms are.
Let me rephrase my question. Do you address in your bill that whoever builds these developments must stay in line with city code? Do
Yes.
you address that?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. The other thing I think is important, and so that the members who are listening will know, there will be no parking or carports on these properties.
No parking or carports. Where do you
Or garages.
Where do you see that at?
I saw that in the picture you showed me, and I saw that in the bill itself. It specifically say no carports and no garages.
Well, it doesn't say that you can't have that. What it is that the city cannot require more than one parking space per unit.
So not more than one parking space per unit. Remember, Representative Gates, you're on the record, because I'm going to be following up on this to make sure that these developments do not become future ghettos by not giving people the amenities that they need of a quality home.
Correct.
So in the bill, you're saying that you have to deal with city code as one, and you can have at least one parking, either carport. We're back on?
Test.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gentleman is recognized. Mr. Gates.
It says the city may not adopt or enforce an ordinance, rule, or other measure that requires a small lot to have more than one parking space per unit.
How many units can they have on this 5-acre tract?
Well, you would have to take 3,000. It would have to be platted, and you can't have the minimum or lot size of 3,000 feet. So it depends on how it's designed with roads and so forth. You would still have to go through, and this starts off as it has to be 5 acres or more, unplatted. So you're going to have to go in and plat. And
So
then
you-
the
so you're
city may
saying-
require roads or whatever they may require.
You're saying 5 acres or more.
Correct.
I initially thought it was 5 acres, okay? So if we took the 5 acres, which is, in each acre is 43,563 feet, and we divide that, we're talking 1 acre now, and we divide that by your 5,000 square feet, that's the maximum housing units you can get on that particular 1 acre, correct? We will multiply it by 5, but at least 1 acre.
Well, you'd have to make allowances for roads or in that. You can't, you can't build houses and not have roads. So
Well-
it's going to have to go through the city plating department and whatever their
Fantastic.
requirements are, just like any other
Will
plat.
these properties have heat and air conditioning?
Whatever the city codes require, these going to, whether it's a 3,000 foot lot, a 5,000 foot lot, or 10,000 foot lot, you still have to build according to whatever the city codes are. There's no opt out of still having to adhere to whatever the city codes are for HVAC or city or the water and flood requirements. These things still have to meet all those same requirements.
And do you envision what square footage these homes will be, or range? I know that each lot may have a different size. What is the range, or do you address that in your bill?
I think on a 3,000 square foot lot, depending on how many stories you have, you still have to deal with the setbacks, but I guess if you went straight up, you could get into several thousand square feet for a home.
Now, Representative Gates, let's be honest with our members here. You can't get several thousand square feet of home on such a small lot. Do you address in your bill the square footage range of these properties? Are you talking about a 750 square foot, 3-bedroom house, or are you talking about a 1,500 square foot property with, do you address that in your bill at all? No.
No, wait, hang on, Ms. Hawkins. You can, as you know, in building on a 3,000 foot lot with the setbacks that you have here, you could probably build, 1,500, 2,000 square feet at a minimum on the first level. You could have a 2-story home. You could easily put a 4,000 square foot home, and you could even have a 3rd level. So you could easily get to 4,000 square feet or more.
But Representative Gates, we don't want to mislead people. What I'm hearing is affordable homes, affordable housing. We know a 4,000 square feet home ain't affordable housing.
Well, my goal with this legislation is to be able to create an opportunity where someone could build a house for around $300,000. Because for $300,000, you need an annual income around $125,000 to $150,000 today at an 8% interest rate with a typical down payment with a Fannie Mae loan. People that make salary of $125,000, $150,000 have to build a home that costs around $300,000 to $325,000.
And that's affordable housing?
Now, for that, at about $175 a foot building cost, and with land costs of around 3,000 square feet, you probably can put in a typical maybe 2,000 square foot home. That's what the goal of this legislation is. Now, if someone wants to build 4,000 square feet or 5,000 square feet, they can do that. And if they want to build on a 5,000 square foot lot, they can do that.
So your property, Representative Gates, is addressing the zoning change more than anything else. It does not go into quality of materials, size of a home, or anything like that. Is that true or false?
You still have to meet whatever the requirements of that particular city has for building quality, their flood requirements, their hookup to water, sewer.
I know all the requirements to building homes. I've built several. So here's my final question to you. We're not building future ghettos. Is that correct?
That's
not the intent.
That's
Thank you,
frustrating that people think
Thank you,
to
sir, for
use
answering my
that
questions.
word.
Mr. Speaker,
Ms. Collier, for what purpose?
will the gentleman yield for questions?
Gentleman yield for questions.
Yes.
Gentleman yields.
Chair Gates, I want to make sure that I understand. You said units. Are these single-family homes, or are these like condo units, apartment units for lease or for rent?
In the bill, it specifically says it has to be zoned for single-family homes.
So they will be single-family homes.
That's correct.
All right, on tiny lots. Is that right? They're small lots.
3,000 square foot is the minimum. I don't know what your definition. If you define
Well, how many
3,000
acres is
square
that?
foot as tiny, then
Is it a fourth of an acre?
say again?
Is that 1/4 of an acre?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
A typical acre is 45,360 square feet.
Right. So this is 3,000 square feet, up to a minimum of 3,000 square feet. So they're like zero lot homes?
No.
perhaps? They're not zero lot?
No. Like I said, you would have to meet. First of all, this has to be unplatted.
Right.
Then, if you want to buy 5 acres, you're going to have to, and it has to be zoned for single family. You're then going to have to go through the platting department of that city, and they're going to have their conditions that they're going to put on you as far as roads and all of that.
Would these be for lease or for sale?
Well, it has to be an area. There's nothing different than whatever regulations a city has for single family homes.
Well, I'm just trying, is this trying to address an affordability issue? And if so, how does it make it more affordable? How does it guarantee that it's more affordable in the bill?
Like I said, 25% of a typical home in Texas, or 25% of your cost is for the land.
The gentleman's time has expired. Anyone wishing to speak on, for, or against Senate Bill 15? The chair recognizes Mr. Romero to speak on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, y'all all know by now that I'm really passionate about planning and zoning, and I'm glad to some extent that we actually get to have these debates on bills like this, because it really highlights how important those planners are and the incredible amount of work that they do in your cities to ensure that we have orderly growth. I served for almost 11 years on both the City of Fort Worth Planning and Zoning Commission. I was honored to serve as our chairman of our Planning Commission. And there are countless hours spent in our cities through future land use maps and your comprehensive plans. And I think one thing that you should all know, that when this bill first came here, it was to get around every single one of those protections for your citizens. When this bill first came here, while it might have been helped to be drafted by a nonprofit that says this is for affordability, even right now you can still hear that maybe these will be 4,000 square foot houses. This is about density without having to go through your council, your zoning commissions, to ensure that it's adequate and correct for the planning of your city. That's what this is about. So I know that around our country, there's places that have incredible affordability problems, and we can even say that that's happening right here in Austin. But don't go fix Fort Worth with what's happening in Austin. And don't come fix Texas with what's happening in San Francisco. And that's what this bill started out to do. A problem in San Francisco I don't have in Fort Worth. And I know that you don't as well in your own cities. So while I'm speaking on this bill, I do want you to know that there are now, with the amendment that we added, they're going to have to get this approved through your local zoning commission and your city council. So there is that protection. There's also language here that someone says they have a right to sue your city if they don't get what they want. I wanted to take that off as an amendment, but, you know, the author will have to ask why that was a part of his bill. I think it's dangerous. But nevertheless, I'm speaking on this bill. I appreciate y'all and your patience with me on all of these issues that are planning and zoning, But I know one thing, this state means a lot to me. So for folks that want to move here and build here, build it right. You only have one chance to build it. So build it right the first time. Thank you, members.
The chair recognizes Mr. Gates to close.
Move passage.
Members, the question occurs on final passage of Senate Bill 15. This is a record vote required by the Constitution. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Ms. Hicklin voting aye, Mr. McQueen voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Show Mr. Alders voting aye. Have all members voted? There being 86 ayes, 43 nays, Senate Bill 15 finally passes.